Welcome back to the Legacy Podcast. My name is Olisya Grant, co-founder of The Matrix Legacy. This is episode number 13. This is a show where we create a blueprint for success, we break those chains of a poverty mindset, and we look for ways to create generational wealth. And on that topic of generational wealth, one of the questions that I get all of the time is, how in the world did you and your husband purchase a home at the age of 23? So I thought it was only fitting to bring back the husband, Mr. Tyler Grant, to speak on this topic. So I'm going to let him introduce himself, a little bit about who he is and what his background is, so you guys can understand why this all makes sense.
Hello, Matrix Legacy family. Yes, of course, you see me on episode 10. I'm back here again. So, of course, just so you can get to know me a little bit in terms of my actual profession, I actually work in the banking industry. I'm there now for a couple of years now, and I've had the experience over a while now, just doing mortgages, investments, talking about that kind of stuff. So I'm definitely happy to have this conversation and, touch on this topic.
Absolutely. So seeing as though, one, we both have experience with purchasing a house and he's got some inside information, I figured this would be a fantastic time to give you guys some tangible, practical tips and steps and just share our experience. So if you're on that first-time home buyer journey or you're looking to purchase your next property, anything like that, hopefully the experience that we went through is going to help you along in creating that generational wealth and that wealth through real estate investing in your own life. So the three main things that we're going to talk about is how to figure out what you want, how to figure out what you can afford, and then how to create a savings plan in order to make sure that you reach those goals that you have. And if you stick around to the end, we've got some additional bonus tips and tricks that'll definitely help you along, so stick around. So the first thing that we want to jump right into is whenever you set out a new goal for yourself, the first thing that's very important is to get very clear and specific on what it is that you want. So for example, when I started in post-secondary in university, I just had it in my head that I had to be a homeowner. And I literally wrote it on paper, and I talked to my mom all the time about it, about how I wanted a loft. I didn't know how I was going to get it. I didn't know anything like that. I just knew that I wanted it. And lo and behold, our first property, it's actually a townhouse.
Two stories.
It's a two-story townhouse, so it's pretty much a loft.
Manifestation.
Exactly. So that's why it's so important to get very clear on what it is exactly that you want. What style of home? Do you want a detached home? Do you want a townhouse? Do you want a condo? Those are all things that you've got to think about when you're planning out your first move.
And the thing is that when you're going into the type of property that you want to own, it's good to visualize and to actually get an idea in terms of what you like. And it's good to actually see on realtor.ca, for example, and go out into seeing open houses so you can actually visualize and get the picture in terms of what you want. Because sometimes what you think you want to what you actually see isn't in alignment, and it's good to get that, right off the top of the head.
Absolutely, and that goes in regards to not even just the type of property, but the location. So you might have a city in mind or a specific neighborhood that you want, and then you actually get there and you step in the house, and it is not what you wanted. So the first thing that you're going to want to do, get very clear on exactly what you want, when you want it by. Because if you just say I want a house and you don't create some kind of deadline for yourself, it will never happen. Even if you create the deadline and you've got to shift it somewhere down the line, just know very clear, like you can write it on the calendar 1 year from now or 6 months from now or whatever that goal is for yourself. Make sure that it's very clear and precise.
And also understand the area that you're purchasing in. This is a big investment when it comes to purchasing a property. So you also should understand the geographical area that you're staying in. And of course, each area has its own price point because of the value to what is perceived to have in terms of amazing amenities, in terms of locations, in terms of stores, like et cetera, schools. So you have to be careful and understand exactly what you're getting yourself into that environment that you're looking to purchase.
Exactly. So the best way to know what you want is to go and see it and feel it and touch it. And that's how you'll know if you're on the right track. So you're now very clear on the type of vibe that you're looking for in terms of the type of property, the location, things like that. But now you got to get realistic for a second and say, okay, on this day, whatever day that looks like for you, what can I afford in the position that I'm in now? Now, that doesn't mean that's going to limit you from getting to exactly what you want, but you have to be very realistic of where am I today? What fits in the budget today? What can I afford if I was to go and purchase a house today? And so what we did is, and what we recommend really, is finding a broker, finding somebody knowledgeable in the real estate industry that can give you a very realistic understanding of what you can actually afford.
And when it comes to breaking down costs, someone who's an expert in the field will understand, okay, this is going to lead to this price. This will lead to this price. Let's say you want all the bells and whistles, but you don't have the bells and whistles money. You have to, step back a little bit and understand, okay, well, this is what you're willing to give up to get what you want ultimately, which is, at the end of the day, for us, was a property. So there's certain things you might have to, of course, want to visualize now that you can get. And then, of course, understanding the price point. Is it worth paying that extra premium, or is it something that, I can sit back on for now, but then in my next step or my next purchase, I can afford that and be in a better position.
Exactly. So this get realistic phase is not to limit you, but it's just to give you a better understanding of, here I am today, here is where I want to be. Now, how can I fill in the blanks? Or am I willing to make a big compromise, exactly how Tyler was saying? Am I willing to make a big compromise in order to reach my time goal? So there's always give and take on that point. But it's very important to find somebody that you trust who can advise you on what's best for you. Not what's best for their pockets, but what is going to be best for you in your position based on where you are and what you have.
And remember, real estate is a big game. There are plenty and plenty of players in this industry. And there's a lot of knowledgeable ones. And there's a lot of people that just want you for the check at the end of the day, because it is a big commission. So before, of course, my wife said making a substantial commitment to that one person you want to communicate with, have a relationship with them. Make sure that you can understand where they're coming from, that they can genuinely help you, or that you're literally someone that can get a quick commission and call it a day. Because that's the last thing that you want, is someone that doesn't have your true interests at heart. And that just takes time, but that's okay, because looking for a property or making that final purchase will take time anyway, so you might as well do it with somebody that will have your best interests at heart.
Absolutely. So take the time, interview some people. We went through more than one broker before we were able to actually close the deal on ours, and it ended up being somebody who had helped
my mom.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody who had helped his mother purchase the home. So that was somebody trusted, somebody who we had seen what kind of results they could produce. And that was somebody that we trusted in order to help us purchase our first home. So the third thing, and it's said all the time, and obviously you're thinking, I got to put the money down for a down payment, for the deposit, or for whatever immediate upfront costs are in your face.
I tell my clients that all the time.
Yes. So you have to create some kind of savings plan. So once you figure out this is where I am, this is where I want to be, how are you going to fill in the blanks? What are you going to do every single day, every single week, every single month to get closer to that goal? And it's not even just to get to that goal, but you are going to need some money even beyond that. And that's something that I wish we had planned a little bit more for.
Yeah.
We had enough for the down payment and all of that stuff, but then we forgot about closing costs. We forgot about all the little things that you need when you move into your first home, like furniture. A broom, for example, cleaning supplies, a shower curtain, like little things that you don't actually think about until you're in the house and you're thinking, wait a minute. How am I supposed to cook if I don't have any pots? Like little things like that you don't think about until you're in the situation. So one thing that we would definitely advise is save beyond just the deposit or just the down payment. You're going to have to give yourself an extra cushion for any unexpected charges or any expenses that you just might not have thought of.
Exactly. So usually I like to tell my client, or just I like to always advise, save an extra maybe like 1 to 2% extra on the purchase price that you're looking to get when it comes to the home, because those miscellaneous costs, literally sometimes they add up more than what you expect, and it's always good to have that wiggle room and to make sure that you're okay for a while, because when you first purchase a home, it's going to hurt your bank account. It will hurt a lot, because you'll go from having so much to nothing, literally, but then just making sure that you have that end goal, or say, okay, I have some things to work on, or it's like, what, I'm not just strapped for cash like completely. It feels a whole lot better knowing that you planned with the end in mind.
Absolutely. So those are the three main things that it took for us to be able to purchase a house. We had to get very clear on what it was that we wanted, when it was that we wanted it by. Then the next thing that we had to do was find somebody that we trusted to give us a realistic view of what we could afford today and where we were at the time. So then we were able to fill in the gaps with that third step, which is the savings, to say how much do we need to put away every single month in order to make sure that we meet those goals. So those are 3 things that you're really going to want to focus on. Now, beyond that, there's a few additional tips that are super helpful, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. There are 3 things that you're going to want to know along the way.
So the first thing is your credit score. And when it comes to your credit score, there's 3 things you have to make sure is crucial. 1, that you keep it as high as possible. 2, that it literally indicates that the bank can trust you when it comes to lending any money. And then 3, in those final 6 months of when you're purchasing a home, you have to make sure that it is impeccable, because that usually makes or break when it comes to the bank in terms of how they can trust you and how they see you as a credible source to pay back the loan.
Absolutely. This is super important. And I have a personal story where literally 2 weeks after we moved into our brand new house, somebody broke into my car at work and they stole all the items in my purse, and they went around and they started applying for credit cards and applying for cell phones and purchasing all kinds of crazy stuff, and my credit score took a absolute nosedive. Now, if that incident had happened even just 3 weeks earlier, there's no way we would have got the house. Because on the final day, when you get the keys to your property, the bank does one more check to make sure your credit is in good standings. And if it's not, then there's a very good chance that they're going to decline it and you're not going to get those keys. So you've got to make sure, 1, that you know what your credit score is in the first place. If you don't know where it is, exactly as my husband said, take a search on Google. There's a ton of ways where you'll be able to find out what your credit score is, and you'll be able to find ways to maintain it. We might do an episode somewhere down the line on credit score, because you could use a whole episode on credit score and how to maintain it. But that is one thing that can literally make or break whether or not you're able to get a mortgage or a loan from the bank. I mean, unless you're buying your house straight out in cash, then that's a different story. But for those of you who do have to rely on a mortgage, as we did, got to make sure that you monitor your credit score. The next thing, this home purchasing process is going to take insane patience and incredible flexibility. So yes, know what your goal is, but also know that it might not work out that way. The original properties that we first, fell in love with or thought that was the place that we were going to be, it definitely did not work out that way. So you have to have patience, because this is not a situation that happens overnight. There's a lot of documents that you've got to submit and things that you've got to do, conversations you got to have, inspections, etc., etc. It is a long process. Yeah. So make sure that you buckle up your seatbelt and you're ready for the ride.
There is so much uncertainty. There's so many places where you feel like it might be the one for you, but then just because it's right for you doesn't mean there's not 10 other people that are also looking at that same property as well. Because at the end of the day, it's a bidding war and it's a numbers game. And also, let's just say it's right for you. Next thing you know, something happened on the other side where now they're not able to actually sell the property anymore. Now you're just strapped out of luck. And all this, it will be frustrating. I think we saw how many properties before we actually purchased this one?
I can't even count.
10 plus?
There were about 5 of them that we thought were the one.
Yeah, like 5 of them.
5 that we thought were the one before we found this one. So you've got to be patient, you've got to be flexible, and take your emotions out of it. Do not fall in love with the first property that you see, because you're going to get your heart broken over and over. You're going to get discouraged. So patience and flexibility are necessary in order to become a homeowner. And then the third tip, and the most important one of all, is you have to actually believe that you can be a homeowner. And I know that sounds like fluff, but it's so powerful. As soon as you believe that you're going to get the thing that you've decided you're going to get, then the universe literally conspires in your favor. But you first have to say, this is for me. I can do this. And I have a really great example, because in the very first episode of this podcast, I mentioned this story, and it's based on my parents. My parents had been renting their entire lives. They didn't believe they could be homeowners because nobody ever told them that they could. 4 months after we purchased our house and we were able to walk them through and show them the steps that we took, they were able to go off and purchase a home because they believed that they can do it. And as soon as they had that belief in themselves, everything started falling in place. They found the real estate agent that they needed. They found the broker. They found an incredible area, and things just started falling into place. If you don't believe that you can actually own a home, you won't. if you're going to try to purchase a home, there is a very high possibility that it's not going to happen for you.
So just imagine just being a renter for 15 plus years, and in a matter of months, now you're a homeowner. So that just that mental shift in terms of thinking that you couldn't to you can. You have to understand now why are you being wanted to buy a home. Is it for yourself that you truly want to, let's say, change your family tree, or let's say get into a better position, or just looking to just show off because it's the right thing to do? You have to be clear, understand why you want to do it, because if you just want to do it for other individuals, it's not going to happen as fast as you think it will happen, because it's not a true desire. When you truly have had enough in your personal situation and you want to change it, whether it be in real estate, whether it be in business, or et cetera, as long as you truly believe it, it will happen.
Absolutely. And so we were 23 when we purchased our first home, but it doesn't matter what age you are. As soon as you make the decision, that's how you can make it happen. Age has nothing to do with it. Where you've been for the past 10 years has nothing to do with it. It's what are you going to do from today going forward to make sure that you're going to reach that goal of becoming a homeowner. Because as soon as you own a property, now you've got an asset that you can pull equity out of and make other investments. And this is how you start creating generational wealth. So this is absolutely, for those of you who are feeling defeated, like there's no way in the world you can become a homeowner, I'm telling you right now, yes, you can.
Yes,
you just have to believe that you can, and you have to align yourself with the right people who have already done it, who can show you the steps that they've taken in order to make that happen.
Don't ask a renter how to be a homeowner. It doesn't make sense.
Exactly. And so that's essentially the building block of the day. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter anything at all. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. If you decide today that you want to be a homeowner, you decide today that you want to invest in yourself, you just got to take the steps and learn from the people who have already done it in order to get there. So that is all we have for this episode, guys. I hope this added a ton of value. I know we focus a lot on mindset in this podcast, and it's very important to have the right mindset before you can apply these practical skills. So if you're still having a bit of doubt, go take a look at some of the other episodes that we've done in terms of knowing your worth, protecting your energy, because once you make those decisions, that is the mindset that you're going to need in order to carry you through. So if you did find value, share this with a friend, like, comment, subscribe. All of that helps more people receive the same message. We will be here, well, I will be here anyways, next weekend with another building block for success. Until next time, let's build a legacy.